Eastern Europe, the 1990s. Following the breakup of Yugoslavia, a series of bloody conflicts bring devastation to the region. Terrible war crimes and countless atrocities are committed against Serbs, Croats, Bosnians and other nationalities. Hundreds of thousands are killed and millions are displaced from their homes. No one is safe. Even when the war officially ends in 2001, life remains tough and the trauma from a decade of destruction lingers. To make a living, former soldiers and mercenaries turn to organized crime. They create a secretive network of allies, pooling their knowledge of explosives, technology, and military techniques to use to their advantage. As it turns out, the training and brutality they endured during the Yugoslav wars translate very well to the criminal underworld. Soon, their daring heists of heavily fortified jewelry stores and other high-value targets would earn them the attention of the world, plus an amusing nickname. This is the rise of the infamous Pink Panther gang. London, 2003. A man dressed in a smart suit and carrying an umbrella enters the Graf jewelry store on New Bond Street. He appears to be wearing a wig, but staff assume the man is probably a celebrity, since celebrities often wear disguises to hide their identity while out shopping. The man asks to see a 12-carat diamond ring, which has a value of £300,000. Upon further inspection, though, the potential customer decides that the ring is too big and asks to see a smaller one. At this point, another customer enters the store. Within a matter of seconds, mayhem erupts as the man inquiring about the ring whips out a .357 Magnum revolver from inside his jacket pocket, points it at staff, and demands that they get down, get down. The new arrival then proceeds to smash the display cabinets and bundle jewelry into a drawstring bag before running out of the store with his accomplice towards their getaway vehicle, a second-hand Piaggio scooter. The store's security guard, Simon Stearman, gives chase and manages to wrestle one of the thieves to the ground, but in the ensuing struggle, the robber's gun goes off. The bullet ricochets off a wall and strikes a nearby pedestrian on the nose. The thief on the ground is caught, and the security guard finally lets him know how ridiculous his wig looks. However, the other robber has made a successful escape. A crime of this magnitude, involving £23 million worth of stolen goods, kicks off a swift investigation by London's Metropolitan Police, while also attracting the attention of Interpol. As it turns out, this robbery is just the latest in a string of high-value thefts to sweep across the continent in the past decade. The police rely on informants to track down an address belonging to one of the robbery's conspirators, a third man by the name of Milan Jovetic. A search of his flat reveals a £500,000 blue diamond hidden in a jar of face cream. It is this discovery that leads to Interpol naming the robbers the Pink Panther gang, as the scenario is eerily reminiscent of a scene from the return of the Pink Panther movie that aired in 1975. Jovetic pleads guilty to conspiracy to rob the Graf store, but more than £20 million worth of jewellery remains missing, as does the thief who actually stole the jewels. Gathering evidence from the London heist, in addition to the numerous other brazen robberies across Europe, Interpol starts to piece together small nuggets of information about who the Pink Panthers' key players might be. The arrest of Nebojsa Denis, the man caught by the security guard, enables them to link up to 20 other robberies committed across Europe since the late 1990s. However, the gang will not be stopped so easily. They appear to be highly coordinated, loyal, and have the uncanny ability to stay one step ahead of the authorities. Many more high-profile thefts and arrests would follow the London heist, and not every robbery was confined to Europe. In 2004, the group committed what has since been dubbed the greatest robbery in the history of Japan. After entering the country using valid passports, though not their own, 2 Serbian men and a Scottish woman nabbed the Comtesse de Vendôme, a necklace composed of 116 diamonds and valued at approximately $31 million back in 2004. One of the men immobilized a guard with pepper spray, while the other smashed the display case and grabbed the necklace. They then made their escape, partially disguised using wigs and sunglasses. 4 individuals were later arrested in connection with the crime, including the Scottish woman named Dorothy Fasola. The Serbian, Aleksandar Radulovic, who attacked the guard, claimed that he left the necklace in a dumpster in return for $100,000 in cash. This claim was never substantiated, and the Comtesse de Vendôme has never been recovered. In 2007, the Pink Panthers were in Dubai, ramming the walls of the Wafi shopping mall with 2 Audi sedans to gain access to a jewelry store. Once inside, it took the thieves around 1 minute to steal an estimated $3.4 million worth of items. Footage of the outrageous incident was captured on CCTV and later uploaded to YouTube. A more recent heist happened in 2018 in Venice, Italy, albeit with a lot more finesse than their previous smash and grabs. Italian police were initially left baffled after robbers managed to deactivate an alarm system and break into a reinforced case that housed €2 million worth of jewelry owned by members of Qatar's royal family. The thieves managed to slip away undetected through the crowds of an exhibition that was being held at Venice's Doge's palace. Police did ultimately arrest 4 Croatian nationals and a Serbian man in the city of Zagreb in connection with the crime. All of the men were aged between 43 and 60, but one was already known to authorities as a member of the Pink Panthers, following a similar snatching of jewels in Basel, Switzerland in 2011. Even after decades of audacious robberies, exact information about the Pink Panthers remains elusive. According to best estimates, there could be anywhere from 40 to 800 members, including gang affiliates, and Interpol suspects that there are at least 60 core members. Several citizens of the former Yugoslavia Republic have been identified as having major roles in the organization, ranging in nationality from Serbian to Bosnian, Croatian, Macedonian, and Montenegrin. According to Ron Noble, former Secretary General of Interpol, the Pink Panthers operate in a different way to most other established crime organizations. There is no command structure as such, as nobody is made aware of where their peers stand in the gang's hierarchy. This means a newcomer could be working with the head of the group while on the job and not even know about it. Incidentally, a Serbian national named Dragan Mikic has been identified as the possible founder and leader of the Pink Panthers. Mikic was broken out of jail in 2005 in a daring ladder escape as accomplices on the outside fired Kalashnikov automatic rifles at the guard towers. A similar escape took place in 2013 when Pink Panther Milan Paparic was broken out of Orb prison in Switzerland by fellow gang members who rammed the prison gate with a car and kept the guards at bay using AK-47s. You see, even when a Pink Panther is caught, many of them don't remain caught for long. In addition to high-value robberies, they've also executed a number of successful prison escapes. Olivera Srkovic is an infamous female member of the Pink Panther network who was the supposed mastermind behind several jewelry store raids in Greece. The former professional basketball star was arrested and convicted twice, but in 2012, she managed to escape from the central prison in Athens and return on foot to her home country of Serbia. Just 4 months after her escape, Srkovic returned to Greece to plan more robberies. She was again caught and faced 32 years in prison, however. Due to her legal defense and a general amnesty, she only served 5 years before being released. Srkovic returning to Greece to repeat her crimes may seem bizarre, but it's not uncommon for the Pink Panthers to hit the same locations repeatedly. The Pink Panther gang was allegedly behind the 2009 robbery of Graff Diamonds in London, the exact same location they had robbed just 6 years before. This time around, under the guise of making a music video, the thieves employed a professional makeup company to apply latex prosthetics, altering their physical features and also their skin tones. Donning their disguises and concealed handguns, 2 members entered the Graff store and stole $40 million worth of goods. The robbers took 43 items in total, with one particular necklace valued at $3.5 million. In a 2019 interview, Srkovic, the same woman who was caught in Greece, gave a rare insight into the Pink Panthers' operations. She revealed the careful planning that goes into every heist. An investor is required before any robbery takes place, as at least 3 apartments need to be paid for. One for the members to live in, one that remains empty to diversify the money trail, and a final apartment where the goods will be stashed after a successful robbery. Srkovic claimed to be the only one in her group that knew the location of this third property. Valid passports must also be sourced, as well as cars that are always stolen and never rented. A lot of effort goes into covering the money trail so that once the valuables are in the Pink Panthers' possession, it's almost impossible for the authorities to retrieve them. As for the heist itself, the gang tends to employ attractive women dressed in expensive clothing and jewelry to conduct surveillance in areas of interest. Once a location has been scouted successfully, their raids follow a similar pattern with men posing as customers. While they may carry firearms, they typically avoid using lethal force against their victims, instead relying on sudden and loud displays of violence to intimidate shoppers and bystanders. The 2007 Dubai raid involving Audis is a prime example of their tactics. Onlookers were left helpless as the group used the vol au bélier technique, using a heavy object to ram into the store. Once inside, they work quickly, using hammers or other blunt objects to break into glass cases and coerce victims. They typically spend only 30 seconds to a minute inside before making a swift escape. If necessary, they leave the country within a day. Up until 2019, Sirkovic says she has lost count of the amount of money the organization has made during her 20-year tenure. The majority of it is dealt with in the form of gold or diamonds, and some experts estimate the total to be around $500 million from at least 370 worldwide heists. That said, not all of that money goes to members of the group. In fact, they might receive a maximum of 40% of a stolen item's value, while the lion's share of the profits is made by the buyers of the stolen goods. Supposedly, these buyers typically resell the items in Antwerp, where most illicit transactions and auctions take place on the black market. Interpol claims to be making ground on the Pink Panthers, but after shining a light on more than 20 years of audacious heists and extraordinary prison breakouts, the authorities are starting to resemble to the inept, incompetent Inspector Clouseau more than the criminals looking like Pink Panther. Interpol and police forces around the world have had to change their tactics in response to those of the Pink Panther gang. After the 2003 heist in London, there was a call for countries to work together more closely in order to stop international thievery. A spokesman for Britain's National Criminal Intelligence Service said of the robbery, "Borders are not seen as barriers anymore. The appeal of a job like this comes from making it difficult for judicial systems to pursue criminals. It's classic of top-level criminality to not be from the country in which you commit the crime." Since then, Interpol has also stressed the importance of global cooperation in catching members of the Pink Panthers. Following the arrest of a 24-year-old Serbian in connection to a robbery in Vienna, Austria, Interpol's Executive Director of Police Services, Jean-Michel Louboutin, declared that Vukovic's arrest once again demonstrates the benefits of law enforcement around the world, sharing essential information which can be followed up by police on the ground and produce results, in particular in the search for fugitives. He went on to say that Interpol, therefore, congratulates the Montenegrin, Austrian and Serbian authorities for their collaborative efforts which led to the arrest of this wanted individual. Announcements and messages of appreciation like this have appeared frequently on Interpol's website in recent years, but whether they can halt the wave of high-value thefts or merely disrupt it, little remains to be seen. The Panthers have been the foremost criminal group engaged in stealing high-value items such as jewelry in the present era. The organization has the ability to execute sophisticated and lucrative attacks with great speed, staying ahead of advancing technologies and catching their targets off guard. Referring to an article published by The New Yorker in 2010, the Pink Panthers also have a strong motivator to keep on going: hatred. According to one insider, they hate everybody. They hate Germany, the Vatican, the USA, and their own governments. They're junkies who hate. You get a call from a guy, you meet 10 other guys, and you get paid. Why are they like this? It all goes back to the Yugoslav wars. During those turbulent times, corruption was rife, and the level of destruction was brutal. Serbia in particularly had it rough, and effectively became a criminal state, where crime became just another way of life. Wealthy Western countries became hated by Serbians and other former Yugoslav states because of sanctions and not helping enough during the wars. Many of the people being arrested by Interpol nowadays were in their teens, 20s or 30s during that time. Perhaps as that generation gets older, the Pink Panthers' activity will continue to slow down. Or, just maybe, their tactics and hatred will pass on to the next generation. In which case, can they ever be stopped?